We're at the home ground of football. The place where football isn't just a game, it's a lifestyle. In June, Brazil will be invaded by hundreds of thousands of football enthusiasts when the World Cup, the biggest sporting event in the world, will be held in 12 cities throughout the country. The final will be here, in Rio de Janeiro. Of Rio, the party has already begun. We're at the Street Child World Cup, a tournament bringing together children from 20 different countries from all over the world. 16-year-old Dario plays for Brazil. Dario and his teammates have taken the journey from Fortaleza in northern Brazil and all the way to Rio de Janeiro. Outside of the stadium, the 335 million euro stadium is still under construction. And it's far from everyone who's as excited about the project as the stadium visitors. In the slum area, Metro do Mangueira, which is located right at the entrance to Maracanã, 600 families have been removed for the construction of a World Cup parking lot. And they are far from the only unsatisfied house owners. 5 kilometers away from Maracanã, we find Providencia, Rio de Janeiro's oldest and most historical slum area, or favela as it's called here in Brazil. This is where Neysima was born and raised, and today lives with her sister and 2 children. Her closest neighbors are among the 150 families who have been forcibly removed so their house could be destroyed for the sake of a cable car. A cable car that will transport tourists from Rio's center to the top of Providencia. Now Neysima's childhood home is next on the list.
Você tem que lutar. A sua terra, a sua casa. Eu vou entregar a casa e vou morar onde? Aqui no bairro não tem um aluguel, não tem nada para alugar mais. Porque esse negócio de mega de evento, sendo da cidade, encareceu muito.
According to NGOs, around 200,000 people are expected to be forcibly removed because of World Cup-related constructions.
Esse é o número que eles põem para identificação.
And it's far from everybody who has gotten fair treatment from the Brazilian authorities, claims Amnesty International.
We clearly identify huge problems in terms of the way the people were notified, the way people were included in consulted, on the compensation which was being offered to them. We realized that the priority was not there. As the logic behind was a logic of profit and money, that what has prevailed.
To understand the boys' background, we take a trip back to north of Brazil. Here we find Fortaleza, who will host 6 World Cup games. It's the 5th most unequal city in the world, and for the people at the bottom of society, life is far from a holiday heaven. 7% of Fortaleza's wealthiest own 1/4 of the city's richest, while millions live on a bare minimum. In Brazil, the official number of street children is 24,000. The actual number is much higher. Dario's exit from the street life was provided by a helping hand from the German-owned organization O Pequeno Nazareno, which is located on the outskirts of Fortaleza. They seek out street children, give them shelter and education.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
To put things into perspective, we travel 10 kilometers away from the beach to the World Cup Stadium Castelão. The state of Ceará, where Fortaleza is located, has invested more than 110 million euros in the rebuilding of Castelão. This amount is roughly the same as the amount the state has invested in public schools the last 4 years combined. The organizations that help vulnerable children in Fortaleza are also feeling the pressure from the World Cup economy. Manuel Torquato is the coordinator of the nationwide project Crianças Não é da Rua, in English, Children Don't Belong in the Streets. He is in close contact with numerous social organizations that suffer under the World Cup economy.
Ano passado, duas organizações fecharam as portas, porque não tem mais condições de atender as crianças sem ajuda financeira, né? Isso poderia ser evitado. Eram instituições que existem há 20 anos, que fazem trabalhos reconhecidos, né? E que atendiam crianças que estavam na rua. Esses projetos fecharam e esses meninos voltaram para a rua. Um desses projetos atendia meninas que estavam na rua numa situação de exploração sexual. Um projeto super importante. Esse também fechou as portas. E essas meninas voltaram para o ambiente de prostituição, para o ambiente de exploração. E isso está acontecendo o tempo todo.
Manuel Torquato is not in doubt as to why the death squads are appearing now, just before Fortaleza is hosting the World Cup Games.
E a gente sabe que os únicos incomodados são os organizadores desse evento, os organizadores aqui do Brasil, que não querem que os turistas, que a imprensa internacional, que todos que vêm para o torneio da FIFA vejam o lado pobre e desigual do nosso país. Quantas crianças tinham morrido naquele ano? 121 crianças. Isso é um absurdo. Isso é um absurdo muito grande.
Back in Rio de Janeiro, the atmosphere is intense.
Well done, fella!
For Dario and the boys, the match is about much more than football. It is just as much about winning to honor the team's former captain, Rodrigo. He was killed by 5 gunshots only 2 months before the tournament on his 14th birthday. He is the one they are playing for, and they are fighting for every ball. But in Rio, it's not only on the football field that there is a fight going on. A total of 40 slum areas are expected to be pacified in Rio before the World Cup, and 1.5 million people will be affected by the presence of military police forces.
I'm not sure that the principal point is the human rights of the people inside. I think it's a project for a city that starts to be prepared for the mega events. So we need to clean the city. We need to do the impression of a safe city. The ways towards the policemen is different inside the favelas and, for example, at Ipanema or Copacabana. So it's complicated, but I think in Brazil, the civil rights, it's not for everybody.
At the Street Child World Cup, time is running out for Brazil. The match against Liberia is in its last minute and the score is 0-0. But then comes the relief. Captain Rodrigo's replacement is the man behind the goal that sends Brazil to the quarterfinals. A wall painting of the deceased captain is honored.